So hopefully now you can see the start of it. So yeah, this is being recorded and it's being transmitted live. And this is what we are going to talk about. Some news, some videos that I try to bring to everybody. Some things about the Photowalk. And I asked our landscape experts so we could try to every now and then steer a little bit away from portraits, which has been our main focus for quite a while now. And they're going to share with us some of their the places they went and about their planning and how they do it. So it should be really nice to have this refreshing view a little bit away from portraits. And I tried to bring some of the news. I don't know if everybody's been keeping up with some of the things happening. If you guys have anything that you would like to share, just tell me or just send me a message. But this is something for the portrait lovers among us. Sigma has started something that I really hope becomes a trend for them. They revamped their portrait lens. I mean, some people love this portrait lens. I do love it. And they made it much smaller, lighter, and it still costs like $600 less than the Sony version of it. So it's just an amazing lens that got even better and lighter and everything. So if anybody wants to buy Sigma Art, the old one, yeah, I might be selling mine very soon. And from what I saw from this one, I saw this guy made a review about it. I am not the greatest fan of him, but his reviews are good. And the image is still even better than the previous one was. So it's a really amazing lens, and hopefully Sigma is going to start doing it with their other lenses, because they really remade the whole lens from scratch, made for mirrorless. So that's why it's so much more compact than the previous ones. So I hope this becomes a trend, because this is going to be really nice to have smaller lenses and still amazing and cheaper lenses. Some other things, I don't know if you guys saw this picture. It's been around the internet a lot. And it was made by, did you guys see this photo or this video somewhere?
No.
I saw the photo, but not the video.
Yeah, mate, this is absolutely phenomenal. These guys, they are in some way sponsored by Sony, so that's why it's in Sony's channel. So there's some of the usual advertisement for the company, but they went through maybe 4 months of planning, coming and going. Then there was absolutely the void. Yeah, the clouds covered everything, and the other time they couldn't do it. So they made some videos from their process to get to these images. They have photos and videos made to advertise for the A7S III. And this video was shot using 16,000 ISO. And it's still absolutely amazing. They even put the A7S III on a drone, a huge drone, and they were flying around with this 16,000 ISO, and the footage is just gorgeous. So if you guys are curious about it, this is like 8 minutes or 7 minutes and 58 seconds that they're absolutely worth it.
And sorry, just a question. They didn't do anything to the picture. They just took one shot at, you said 16 or 6,000?
16,000.
And they didn't do
lens?
anything, just one shot.
They filmed it and they made some photos. They didn't do anything else. They didn't do HDR or anything. Okay. They probably processed it a little bit because the colors are just, they don't seem to be right out of the camera. Mm-hmm. They might have done some denoising or something, but it's one shot. No crazy processing.
Do you know which lens?
They have a huge lens. I would say at least 800 millimeters, at least. So it's fun to see the guys running around because then they calculated it wrong or there was some change in the position and everything. They're running in the dark to try to get there, and they have like 1 minute just window in which they can do it. The guy is walking on the rope without safety and anything, and it's just going there with the radio, coordinating with them. So it is an insane planning, and the images are absolutely phenomenal. And in the end, the guy just base jumped from that tower, which was even more amazing to think that he's done it. So it's a real crazy good video. The links are going to be up hopefully tomorrow, Derek. I mean, this is probably new only for you. I put all these links and this PDF in my blog. So you guys can see all the links there and just click on them and check the videos or whatever. And this one is absolutely recommended. It's a great adventure that they've done. And seeing this 16,000 ISO video is something different. We could even try to play it here because I don't think Sony would try to hit me with a copyright infringement. But it's like 8 minutes that you guys, whoever wants it can watch afterwards. So we don't eat up the time we have together now. But it's amazing. I would totally recommend. This is something for the whenever we're trying to save some skin. So going back to portraits, editing portraits. Many times we see this, you know, that Instagram filter that people lose completely any facial traces. You can they look like a mannequin with a moving mouth. So this guy has some ways that you can put back some texture, and sometimes we have some skin that is not the best and you have to retouch it way too much, and he has some ways that you can do and put back some texture. And it still looks natural, as you can see on the photo. The one on the left is a little bit like this Instagram filter, and the one on the right, he's put back some texture. It's not perfect, but it's better than looking like a mannequin in the photos. And this is one of the channels that I follow closely because this guy knows how to teach a lot about Photoshop. And this one, the Pixing Perfect, that Unmesh Dinda, he's an amazing teacher. And he has 5 techniques that he combines, and you can choose how many of those do you want to apply. So you can put back some life into eyes. And sometimes he goes a little bit too far, and I got this image to the right. It is not from him, so please don't say that I said that he's done this crazy bad job. But I would only recommend that whenever you are editing any portraits, if you see like the eyes are starting to glow, like you need to call an exorcist, maybe it's time to step back a couple of edits, because if the eyes start to glow, the portrait looks unnatural and it really doesn't work. But the techniques he uses, he always tries to explain. Maybe you don't go too far because it looks just unnatural. But the tutorial is nice, and this is a way that you would do in Photoshop. I imagine most people do it in Capture One or Lightroom, which is much easier. You click like 2 brushes and it's done. But it's very easy to get it overdone. And what you can get with Photoshop, it looks much more natural. But it's a lot more work, and the files are bigger, but it's nice to have in your arsenal of tools, at least. And this is something nice, since we've been talking so much about portraits. We might even try to do a little experiment with this, because there's always this discussion: what is the ideal focal length for portraits? And the guys from F-Stoppers, they've done this thing that they go from, I think it's a 24 mil until a crazy idea, 1,200 millimeters. I don't know, you will probably sit on your neighbors and photograph the guy in the building on the other side of the road. I don't know why somebody would do that.
These are for paparazzi, no?
I think it should be, yeah. A paparazzi or somebody with like a crazy
But
studio.
this is not, this reminds me that Nikon, that P900 or whatever it is, or P1000, something like that.
Yeah, you can
do
get
that, the whole range, so.
yeah, usually these bridge cameras, you can get these crazy zooms on them. But this one they've done with a full frame, so that's an actual 1,200 millimeter. I mean, it was a 600 with the crop, so it was not actually a full frame. But this is a very nice experiment because when you go for the too wide, like the 24 millimeters, you distort a little bit of the facial the structure. You make people look a little bit wider than they should, especially with the ladies. It's not a very happy lens to use, but it makes a lot of other things in the background. And you can see that with the photos. It's a very nice comparison. I just brought some of them here for you guys. I hope you can see because my other device is also not working with Zoom. I don't know what's going on with me today. So I cannot see if you guys are seeing 4 photos on your screen. Is that correct?
4,
okay.
Yes.
Yeah. You see, I picked up only the 50. I didn't go for the 24 on the top left because nobody should use a 24 unless you're doing an environmental portrait. So for an actual portrait, you should not use a 24 millimeter on a full frame. And what you can see here, not only the she looks a little bit wider, but pay attention. You probably can see. Let me do something here so you guys can see it a little bit better. Pay attention to this tree here, which you probably see with a blue ring around it. This tree on the 50 millimeter, it looks way far in the back. But then when you start coming up to the 70 millimeter or to the 105, look how close the same tree looks in relation to the model. So this is what they call the compression of the background. It looks like like you compress the background. It changes a lot. Not only it gives you this bokeh, you can call it however you want, the blurriness in the background, but it makes this perspective change. And you can isolate the subject much better. This is something that we could even try on the next Photowalk because you have a very long line that we can, if we go for the place we're going to chat in a bit, we can even try and experiment a little bit with it because it makes a big difference. And if you go for the 200 millimeter, which for me is maybe the longest focal length I would consider for a portrait, you have a lot of blurriness in the background, and I mean, you have to put it together with the f-stop, of course, but it makes a big difference from the 50 millimeter on the top left to the bottom right with the 200 millimeter lens. So this is an experiment we could maybe do on the Photowalk. And for some reason, I could not clear the drawings. Okay, sorry, it's done now. So this is something very nice. I don't know how many of you plan to be on the next Photowalk. It's the last Thursday of August, but this could be a nice test to do there. I mean, probably only Antonio could go for the 1,000 millimeter. We could play with that.
Mine is 600 actually.
Yeah, but this 600 on is probably 1 quarter, yeah. The sensor size.
Yes, I think it's actually I think it's 4 thirds, but it's about a bit.
Okay,
so it's almost the same as 1 inch. So.
Okay, so if it is a micro 4 thirds, it should be like double. It would be 1.2K on the zoom, or is this 600 already in full frame equivalent?
No, it's 600 in full frame equivalent.
Ah, okay. Yeah,
so okay. The only bridge I know that does 1200 or more is the Nikon, the P900, and I think now more the P1000.
Yeah, if you look for super zooms, you will find a couple of them. There are some. I think Canon had something also. But yeah, Sony for certain has some crazy zooms also. But it would be nice to have this experiment. We keep the model in the same, like here on this example from f-stoppers, and we can try to play a little bit with the focal length. I think this could be
But
a
the
nice.
question is, all the cameras that usually have such a big zoom usually have the very small sensor the size of a mobile phone.
Yeah, the other ones you have to change the lenses. Because if people were to create one 25 to 600 zoom lens, you would need a truck to carry it. Or it would be F99 as the f-stop board. Yeah, it would be probably still be something crazy.
Yeah.
But this is something we might try to do on the next photo walk if you guys feel like it. I would certainly like to have this images to use as examples in our chats or my classes. This is still in portrait. This guy is also an amazing teacher, and he teaches how you can use the newest versions of Photoshop when you use Adobe Sensei, the AI-powered editing, to change a little bit some of the features. He changes the chin line, he changes the nose a lot, he changes eyebrows, and he also teaches it with the previous versions of Photoshop. So it's really nice. You can do that just to have fun with somebody, or if you're really editing a portrait and you do this in a very, very subtle way, you can have some very happy customers. If you can do it in such a way that they barely notice it, it makes a lot of a difference. I would never say that I've done it, but yeah, it might make some people very happy if you do very, very subtle changes to the facial structures like this. It's a really nice thing to play. Or just you get that friend of yours that you want to mess with, and you can make the other way around. So you can make it a really funny face, and it still resemble the person a lot. This week on Creative Live, you guys know I do love the knowledge we can get from them. There's a lot of paid stuff that is really worth it, but the freebies that we can get this week. I saw this one on the top left from Lindsay Adler. I have already watched it. It is the same from last week. It's just a different day and time. I mean, no, this is today, so it's probably going to be still tomorrow. It's going to be still free and live. She has some very nice tips to give. This one on the bottom on August 17th is probably not for any of us here, the conceptual photography and some crazy things with the editing of portraits. The people I know who love this in our group are not here today, but might be something nice. This one on the 16th, strategies to grow your photo business. If they added during Corona times, they would be a huge success, but I don't think it was meant like that. So I don't know if it's going to be that relevant. And yet changing a little bit, not only to remain in portraits. We spoke in the past about noise reduction, and we saw the images that were retouched by Topaz Labs, Denoise AI. And the guys from f-stoppers, they did a comparison with all this different software that you can see. So they have the original image with 6400 ISO. It is a full frame. I don't remember the camera now, but it's a very good camera. Then you have Topaz Labs, Denoise AI. They have the treatment with Lightroom. It's probably impossible to see the difference in the zoom images, but you will have access to the link and you can see them. It is night and day difference. They also used Neat Image. I didn't know this one at all. DxO, Define 2. It is inside the Nik software collection. And they've done it also with Capture One. So you can compare the results they got with any of this, I mean, with all these different softwares. And spoiler alert, so if you guys don't want to listen what was the best one, just cover your ears now. The best result they got was from Topaz Denoise AI. And I think it was Hemi who had already spoken that you tried it, and the results were quite good, right, Hemi, with Topaz Labs. I think it was you.
Doesn't the capture one looks the best, you know? You know.
Maybe with the image you have there, but they consider Topaz Labs, and I also think that the image is a little bit better. On Capture One, you have it a little bit more blurred. The feathers are not so good, but it's the second best in my opinion.
Okay.
Sorry, hear me? Say it again.
No, I was saying like for Capture One, it's it's kind of the picture is very sharp, but it makes it also, like as you say, a bit blurry because it's too sharp somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like it's over sharpening here. Yeah. But I also like the noise.
But the denoise on Capture One is not, it's really not bad in general. For denoise AI, I haven't tried it. That must not have been.
Okay, I don't remember who it was. Somebody spoke something about having tried or I think you might have mentioned that it just looked at the images and they were really good. Yeah. But it is the results are impressive. And especially if we consider some night photography, and Ian has been doing some playing with that. I mean, it is a huge difference. I've used denoise on some sky images in the night, and it is really impressive. The result is really impressive.
Because I'm using personally. Last time I did this Milky Way picture. I used this software on Mac. See, I can't even remember the name, and I bought it, so I should remember it so that I find it again on my computer. And basically, it gives it basically aligns all the pictures together. And you put like 10 pictures taken in the dark, and it aligns them all together so that you get at least the stars, so that it removes the noise. And then once you I mean, it compensates the noise from pictures with all the pictures, but you get less noise, much less noisy picture. I mean, your final picture is much less noisy, and then you can import it into your software, whatever it is, and then you can still denoise it, and that makes a very good job. Then you start with a very good base.
Yeah, that's great.
For Windows, it's called Sequator, but I think Mac has another software.
Yeah. I've got another one. But it's probably similar, So
yeah.
It's like Starry Landscape Stacker, something like that.
And that's very nice because you always have to have many pictures for stars, star trails, or night sky, anyways. So and noise is probably never in the exact same spot, even though it's a sensor getting overheated. Maybe it's not always in the same spot. So that's a very nice idea.
Yeah, that's actually what I was reading. What's interesting is that you get, when you do this technique, let's say you will take, I think the 31st picture you will take and you will combine together will probably reduce the noise by 50%. But then if you want to reduce the noise by 80, 90, 100%, if at all possible, you will need to take like maybe 300 pictures so that you get everything removed. So that's why you always need to, I mean, you can't obviously take 300 pictures of 10 seconds during a night. So you always need to use such kind of nice tools like denoise tools. So good to have a, good to have like good comparison like this.
Yeah, and it's probably nice that you could even maybe use the two things together. Something to remove the noise, as you said, and this kind of software, so you should get the cleanest result possible. If you feel that.
Definitely.
It's nice to experiment. And since I bought the Topaz Labs switch some time ago, because as I told you guys, I needed the one to remove the shake from some of the blurriness from some images for a client. And it was together with that in a promotion they had. So I do have it. If at any time you guys want to experiment with it, I can try to edit the photos for you. Or you can just download the trial anyways, because they do have a trial that you can use to.
But this is a good idea. Can I send you one or two images just to compare?
Of course, yes, of course.
Okay, okay, I'll send you some.
Yeah, and even if you want, as I understand, you don't live so or you work not so far from the studio, you could even come by and you could try to
Yeah,
mess with
suppose.
the software yourself if you want. It's easy.
Yeah, it's easier. You share both screens. I think you share the next slide also.
Both screens. So thank you
Yeah.
for telling me, because now I cannot see what I'm sharing with you guys. Good thing it was just the next slide and nothing more complicated than that. So let me do only PowerPoint. That should be easier now. So now you guys can probably see the part of the bird again, right? Okay. This is one of the photos they had, and it's probably not very good for you guys to see, because this is something that I don't usually like of the denoising software. If you see what Lightroom does when it tries to remove the noise, it makes an average of the pixels. So it looks like this Instagram filter. You don't see any facial features anymore. You don't see pores. It's everything a little bit like plastic. So that's a big difference I see in Capture One and Topaz Labs, because you can see again the pores and everything, and you can see the facial hair or the hair itself. You can see it again. It's just like this plastic blurred thing. If you guys ever want to try the software, there's a trial that you can download and experiment with it. And if you ever decide to buy, I don't get 1 cent from it, but you guys can get 15% discount if I share this. And I don't even know if I would get something from them anyways, but it's the same price, but discounted on 15%. As nobody ever bought it from my link, I had no clue if they would do something with it for me. And since we are trying to move in today's meeting a little bit away from that, and night sky photography is something that I always liked. I never really knew how to do it properly, but I tried a lot and saw some tutorials and everything. And it looks pretty easy, right? You just go there, set a tripod, put your camera in a long exposure, use your remote, and fire a photo that comes back absolutely blurry with some, instead of having the stars, you have this little oval things because the stars actually moved. And if you guys ever want to do it, and they're not one of our resident experts here, Jan and Hemi, this thing from App Stoppers, they actually explain to you a little bit of some of the calculations you can do. There's the old 600 rule that was for film days, 500 rule, 400 rule, and this crazy one that you go there and you make all the math, because you have to take in consideration the focal length you're using, the pixel density of your sensor, and you do a crazy math, and you go there and okay, I have to do a 16.35 second exposure, so the stars are not going to show as small blurry things in this specific photo that you are doing. It is a hard math, but it pays itself. Or you can just go a little bit simpler and use the 400 rule that they explain. But this is something that probably the guys are going to tell that they have much better options that I learned, because this is absolutely far from something that I know. But this is something nice to experiment if you're hiking somewhere and a little bit more away from the light pollution. This is something very nice to experiment. What do you guys do? You two that are our resident experts.
I mean, that seems very theoretical as a thing. I never really applied any theory when I do the night photography. I don't do it a lot, but when I do it, it's I think also this doesn't take into account as well the lens that you have, because you also need to have the focus very well I mean to adjust very well your focus so that your stars as well are very sharp. And usually, I mean, just to do this, you just need to focus on one of the brightest star in the sky, and then adjust your focus so that this star is like very sharp. Then you can then you will shoot, and it will be all good. for you, I mean, this can be a tough process. I have to say that I'm lucky. I'm using the Samyang 12 millimeter for this, and I just have to put it all the way to the end, and it works perfectly. So basically, I know now that I don't have to do anything for this, so I'm saving a lot of time and trouble and risk of having a poor picture captured.
Not bad.
Yeah.
So one question: why some people use these special cameras for stars, like this, the Nikon 850 or something like that? This was made for stars. What is the difference between that camera and the 800 or whatever it was that is not for stars?
You have this filter, so you reduce the red lights. You mean this filter, or what do you mean?
Okay.
And I think also for the noise, I think the very high quality Nikon, for example, they almost don't have noise, like the very high quality Sony, they don't have noise. So
No. Yeah. There are some Astro modified cameras that pass the lights from the star better, but they don't really suit to photograph usual lights because you would see too much red lights. But I don't know. I never photographed with it.
I don't know if your question was so specific, Antonio, as with this specific astrophotography cameras, but usually what people do, they would at least recommend that you go with a full frame, and especially the high-end ones, because you probably will need high ISO for your pictures. And high ISO in full frame, since you have more area, more real estate on your sensor, will be less than if you are using a crop sensor, and less than if you use micro four thirds, and much less than if you were to use even smaller thing. So this is probably also a factor that you might have heard. From the D800, the higher ones, since the 800E, people would like to use them because they didn't have the, how was it called?
Yeah, LESP.
Thank you, exactly. Because it probably takes away some of the sharpness. This is a big discussion that some people say it does, some people say it doesn't make so much of a difference. But this was one of the first, I think, the D800E. So it was at the time one of the good ones for astrophotography. So this is something that you might also have heard. I don't know.
Okay, thanks.
Maybe we can do once a topic on astrophotography, just to have basic rules and post-processing, whatever. I don't know. I think that can be interesting for many people.
Okay, thanks.
I mean, I love the idea. I know many of our portrait hardcores would probably not be so happy about it, but we need to be a diverse group. So I am totally in, and I would actually love to see that and see a little bit of the process. I mean, the planning process is amazing, because sometimes you want to be on a place and you have to have the moon, like the video about the A7S III. You have to be on a perfect spot so you can get the moon behind the two pillars, and this doesn't happen all the time. So,
actually, I will tell something about planning and technical parts. So just if you go,
I love that. Yeah. I love that idea. And then replying to you, Remy, I would totally be into that. And so we have it all in one meeting, and we can also advertise that in the group, and maybe the people who didn't really participate, because it's a lot of portraits and models and things, maybe we can bring some new faces also. I would totally be into that.
That's cool.
So some of the other things, this is something we discussed last time about doing a book with the photos that we've been doing around this year. And I just brought it again because this self-portrait that, okay, let me come back some steps, sorry, Derek. We're talking about doing something for the end of the year, and that would be producing a book with the photos that we've been taking during this year as a group. So in some of our meetups during the lockdown, we were doing some photos and photo challenges. So it would be something to mark this, the craziest year ever, and that we get to the end of it, all of us who survive until the end of the year. So we would have this, this memory from still the good things of this year together. And the idea was that we would have these photos from the things that we do together or that we did together, and also have a section of who we are. And the idea here was to put like a self-portrait. It is not a selfie, so nobody will please take your iPhone, do the duck mouth, and make a silly photo, unless that's done in a photographic, funny way. That could be also cool. So one of the things that we might do is one of the guys from the group, Daniel and his wife, Ana Rosa, they have a magazine and they are doing some portraits of photographers. It will not be a self-portrait, but that's an option. But something that I brought here, so you guys might probably be inspired, is that Coop, and it's not the supermarket. This is the website that has things about photography. They have one video that they instigate some ideas that you might do, some cool self-portraits that you might think about doing. And this is the kind of portrait that I was thinking. It's not the iPhone with the duck mouth, but doing something cool and showing a little bit of your personality, something that you like to do, some, I don't know, if you play the violin, do something with that. If you have as Lino has, his Leica and wants to show the Leica camera in some way, I don't know, anything. But doing a self-portrait and putting this as a part of the book. We might even have left page the self-portrait and the right page a photo from the photographer. I mean, this is all open to discussion. But I think this would be a very cool section of our end of the year book. I don't know what you guys think about this idea.
I think it's a good idea. Create some fun.
Yeah, I totally love it. So now that makes two of us, Derek. Thank you so much.
But it's actually good that you put that up, because you often think of, well, you just take a photo, but then how do you actually add an element to it, something different, something exciting?
Yeah, and this video, I'm really, if I had to recommend that you guys only check two of the links, go for the first one from the Moonwalk, and this one from Coop, because you can get some very nice ideas or some inspiration of some other crazy things that you could try to do and do some cool portraits. And not only for the book, for yourselves. You could put that on your website or on your Instagram feed or use it as a profile photo. It's very nice to have those. And I'm totally in. If you guys have some crazy ideas that we would need to do that in the studio, let's try to make it happen, because this is a very fun project. And these are actually some captures from the video. This is some of the portraits that the guy does. I have no clue of his name. Some of the portraits that he's done in the video. Some of them go through a somewhat funny process. This one, he has a huge water tank, like an aquarium or something, and he fills it way up to the top. And I don't know, it could be done with something that has 2 centimeters of height. I don't know, but it is, if you guys are going to do that and you ever drown your cameras, don't blame me. Do that on your own risk, please. Yeah, next photo walk. We're gonna do that on the last Thursday. I have no clue of the day. That should be like the 25th or 26th of August. At some point I was saying something about the Hotelfabrik, but then Kurt had this very nice suggestion, Gerust in Oerlikon, which has another name. I forgot the name right now.
It's called MFO Park.
Yeah, MTO Park. And I actually went there and took some pictures, so the ones among us who have never been there can grab a little bit of the overall concept. I'm sharing an album with much more photos than this, and you can go there and see the not so high resolution photos from my mobile phone. But the main thing is that you have an initial area that is a little bit more protected with these plants. And you always have this kind of roof on the bottom right. It is not actually a roof, but it's not covered. So if the sun is exactly above, you can take the suntan and you will be barbecuing there, which is not the timing that we will be there. And if it is raining, it's going to be really wet. So we have to keep an eye on the weather. But as we should have the sun in a much more oblique angle, you get some very, very nice shadows, as you can see on the bottom left. Lino has a photo playing with the shadows, which is very cool. And you have, if you've never been there and you check on the left, you have some platforms that are in the middle and the second row of them, so you are a little bit elevated, and you can play a lot with different perspectives. You could even, if you go to the part that doesn't have the plants, you could even go so crazy as to fly a drone there and capture some very different angles, which could be very fun. Again, if you destroy your drone or run over somebody, don't blame me, it's your own fault for doing it. But I would totally be into that, especially going through these holes on the metal with the drone. That would be a very, very nice shot. So the thing I wanted to bring for the group here is that usually we keep around Zurich and very close to the city center or something like that. This one is something like, it might be 25 minutes if you go with the public transport, depending on, of course, on where you go to that location. What is your take on that? Is this okay distance and time to go? What do you think about the place?
Looks like a really nice location.
Mm-hmm.
But Oerlikon is only 10 minutes from the Zurich Hauptbahnhof, of less than 10 minutes.
Yep.
It's 2 stops. In 2 stops, the train stops in Arbrücke. If it doesn't, it's just 1 stop. It's like 5 minutes or so. Yeah.
Yeah, for me, it's really okay. It takes me like 15 minutes with the bicycle, which is probably how I would go. So yeah, it's very easy, but I wanted to know a little bit of the impressions from most of you, because I really like the location. Thanks again, Kurt, for suggesting it. And it would again be probably mostly about portraits, a little bit of architecture if you have an eye and taste for that. But there's no real cityscape or landscape that you can do around there, because there's basically this and some buildings, commercial buildings around it. So this is something to consider. So I had to work hard on making sure we get enough models, but this would be like a little bit more focused on models again. So this is pretty much okay for you, if I understand correctly.
I mean, if we go to this place, we can do both. I mean, so we can
do what? Sorry.
We can do both portraits and normal pictures, right? I mean, and normal like architecture or something like that, right? So,
yeah, I mean, you don't have much alternatives for the surroundings. You don't have the lake. You don't have like a beautiful cityscape. You have high buildings, commercial buildings around. But inside the location, you have some cool opportunities. Yeah. If you go for some of the details, if you play a little bit with movement, there are some, I saw some nice opportunities there today. So, but it will be limited. It's not like being inside, just in the top of the lake or viaduct. It will be a little bit more limited.
Yeah, I mean, that's interesting.
Do you know how crowded it would be in the evening?
We usually start around 6:30, and we have like half an hour to chat a little bit, get to know some of the models, sign the releases, and we actually start at 7. So then between 7 and 9 in the evening is the time that we'll shoot. Be aware that at 9, it is probably going to be a little bit dark inside. So we need to plan on high ISO or maybe taking some artificial lights, depending on where you are in the location.
It will be on the end of August, right?
Yeah, the last Thursday of August.
Okay,
27th.
Okay, so let's make that, since everybody present thinks that it's a good location, and I totally agree with that, let's make that the location. And I will tell that to the models so I can start to get an idea of how many we should have. I already have 4 of them saying that they will come. But yeah, last time I had 8 confirmations and 3 actually coming. So yeah, let's see how it goes. I will do my best to have at least 6 of them because I think it's a sweet number. And a silly question, because we usually chat online on Tuesdays, and I just kept the photo walks on Thursdays. What do you think? Should we just have everything in one day of the week, like everything on Tuesdays or everything on Thursdays, or doesn't make any difference?
It doesn't make any difference for me.
Yeah.
Not really.
Okay, so I won't change a thing. Let's keep it as it is. And don't forget, if you guys want to check some more photos from the location, we'll share the link for the album there, and hopefully you can see now some about our idea, Remy's idea actually, to go to Klontalersee and play a little bit with the drones. Last time, nobody actually really tried to join us in this one. So Remy, we should make a date out of it if you're still into that, and just make it happen. So
I mean, that can be Klontalersee, that can be wherever. I know, for example, this weekend I'm planning to go to do some drone. I don't know where yet, but I'm planning to go. And there are a few places around Zurich, not too far, that are very interesting for it. So I think that could be. I mean, we could. I don't know first who has a drone and who is interested into it. Who could be? How could we go? Because I don't think. I mean, if we go with drones, I don't think we should be too many people. Otherwise, it's gonna be a big mess.
Crashes.
They're gonna be dead around. It's gonna be Star Wars.
if we were like 15 people with the drones, it could be a little bit funny.
I mean, I would assume like doing one car would be reasonable, like 4 or 5 people maximum.
Mhm.
And then for the location, I think the moment we have people who are ready to go and we agreed on the date, then the location can be decided quite easily. It's not the problem. I think it's more about gathering the people together. I know that Nick would be probably interested. I mean, I haven't heard of him for a while now, so I don't know if he's still alive. But in case he is, then we could do something. I think last time you mentioned also someone else doing the photo walk. I think.
Yeah, Patrick, who was in the Photowalk, he does some cool shots with the drone also, but he's been a little bit absent. He's got a lot of things going, and he's a lot in Germany. So I don't know. But anyways, what I would suggest, since we have you and me are willing to do that, let's make a date out of it, and we share with the others. And even if anybody wants to come and do some other photos, because Klontalersee is beautiful anyways, or you want to go there just to swim, I don't know, whatever. That could be a nice thing to do on Sunday anyway. So let's exchange some messages, Jaime, and we make that work, and then we just share with the group, whoever wants to join. It's okay. Otherwise, we'll just keep talking about that until next year, and nothing's going to happen.
Right. Let's set a date.
But for the Klontalersee, just be aware that on the weekends there's road restrictions.
What kind of restrictions? Sorry, because of the crowds.
If you're going up to the Klontalersee from Galera's, the signs are actually saying that you're not permitted to drive up unless you've got a permit on Saturdays and Sundays.
Okay.
You cannot drive to Klontalersee on Saturdays and Sundays.
Yep.
Okay, but I've been there this Saturday. Was plenty of cars there, and I was going on the bus, and those cars after cars. There's even a camping there in Vorhaus or Vorhauen, or it's called. And there's full of people there.
If you read the signs as you're driving up.
But
that's the people there.
That's the difference. That's the difference of dürfen and können, because you can go there. You shouldn't, but you can go.
But
okay.
I passed through there like 2 weeks ago, and I went by car, and the same, it was packed with cars, and there were no cops around, so I would not, I don't know, I wouldn't be so worried about it, and many people were coming, so, and there are parking spaces all around, so.
It's only authorized cars with 4 wheels and motorbikes with 2 wheels. All the rest is not authorized.
Okay, we can do whoever feels safe to go and drives. Whoever doesn't feel like that takes the bike, walks, or
No, there is a bus as well from the post office.
hangs to the drone and flies there. But thank you, Derek, because I think it is important that we share the restrictions, and then people can decide, okay, I don't care about this restriction, or okay, we shouldn't do it and we don't do it. But it is very important to know that there is a restriction. Sometimes,
but Cesar, if you want to observe the restrictions, use the bus. There's a bus from the post office auto, they take you there. So I use the bus, I don't have a car, so.
Yeah. I mean, but what I mean is that it is important to know that there is some sort of restrictions, because you're never free from receiving a visit from the authorities and getting a nice fine for your collection. So some of them could be quite expensive, especially if you fly a drone in a forbidden area. You could get in a not so happy weekend after all. So yeah, I think it's important that we know the restrictions, and then each one can make its own decision.
I mean, I would assume that if we go, for example, to Klontalersee, let's say in September, after the summer, once the school is back and everything, there will be a bit less people and a bit less crowded. Although it's Sunday, so it's good that people will be there anyways. But
yeah, but it will be less busy because it's not so much into the season anyways. And that's something that I would strongly recommend, is that we do something for the Blausee and Kaumersee when it's not in the season, because they are absolutely gorgeous to go and have some images around them. But usually when it is the season, you are not allowed to fly there also, not only things with the cars. So that could be another project, but let's chat whoever is interested, and I understand it's for now Hemi and I. So let's try to make this a project we share, and whoever wants to join is more than invited to. And let me go back to this, because I think this was about the end of it. Okay, this is just so I don't bother you guys again with that. We were thinking about doing a weekend photo walk, but like 2 months with me coming here and bothering you all with this, there's only one participant so far, and that's me. So I would just get this out of the way. I will never bother you guys with that again. But if anybody wants to do a weekend shoot somewhere, I'm usually all into that. And then our 2 resident experts on landscape photos and some night photography, they agreed to come here and share some of their planning process and their ideas. So I tried, I mean, every way I look, the alphabetical order is the same. So Jan and Hemi, or the Aidel, and I cannot pronounce your last name, sorry, I will butcher it, so I won't try it. So Jan, if you could start it, you have the power to share your screen, so you have the stage.
Okay, let me try. So, can you see it? Can you see it now?
Yep.
Yeah, very nice. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So, yeah, let me tell something about star photography. You know, I'm not really an expert. I just started to learn it, and that I did it a couple of times, and but I found it's a way different as a classical landscape, which I did maybe for 2 years, and the first lesson that I learned as a start to make stars photography, it was that you need to plan, and that's what Cesar was talking about, is that it's not like you know, in a landscape photography, you can just come to a place, wait for the light, look in different directions, and if you're lucky, you will get your image. For me, for my experience, this did not work in star photography at all, because you have Milky Way, and Milky Way is the most interesting part of a sky, and it moves and it starts in different locations in different times. And so as I started to plan, I found one location this weekend, and I would like to tell you the full story how I didn't manage to get the photo. I used the photo pills to plan, and probably you already know it. If you don't know it, and you would like to make a landscape photography or star photography, you need this app. It's a really nice one. I don't get any money from them, but I really like it. And what you can see here is a screen from the app, and you can see here the location I was. You can see here this is a river and the mountains, and you can enable, you can set up this app to show the Milky Way. You can see here, this is a gray line, is where it appears, where it starts to be visible, and this black gray line is where it disappears. So if you plan, you can just put it on a map, and you can see, okay, my Milky Way photo will be within this range, and you can move the time here below, and if it goes further, you can see, okay, here is this is what I wanted to achieve. It was something about half an hour, half past 12. And what you can also see here, this is like violet and this is gray. And this means that you can see it here better because it's darker than here. And the one thing that I completely ignored was this blue line. And it was my biggest mistake, I think. And this is the moon. And you can see here, this is a 3/4 moon, and it feels like it's the light it turned on in the mountains. You know, the moon goes up, it's like in the daylight. But you will see the images later. So the next point is what you need to check is light pollution. And light pollution, there is also a map for app for that. This is a light pollution map. And this spot, when you see it says the darkest spot in Switzerland, it's the same valley. And these are, give me a second, yeah, here. What you can see here is a legend from these colors. So usually if you're in a city, you're in a red or orange zone. You can see it here in Zug or Luzern. And you can see only few stars. Yeah. You're happy if you're in a yellow and a green line. And actually, if I go back, this photo was made in a green area. It was also in the Swiss Alps, but not in this darkest valley. But I really thought, okay, it would be just amazing because it's the only part in Europe. We also have some of blue areas in Austria, but not in Germany or France or Switzerland.
Sorry, what is the name of that place that is the blue area?
This is Greine. Greine Valley. Yeah.
Okay.
Vrien is.
Jan, so just a quick question. The view that you show here, is it still photo pills down the left-hand side?
No, this is light pollution map. The app called light pollution map. Yeah. The closest village to this area is Vrien, and you need to walk for 4 hours until you reach it, and you have no bigger villages or cities, and that's why it's so dark. Yeah, and we don't have any gray or dark areas in Europe anymore, unfortunately. The only way is to go to this ocean, to the sea, to whatever. Or you leave Europe, you go to Russia, to Africa, and this is pity because Actually, it's a sky how our predecessors saw it, you know, and we cannot see it anymore. This is the second app I used, and the third app I used was Clear Outside. And this app is amazing because it shows you the separation of the clouds. This is it was a forecast from Saturday to Sunday. On my location, you can enter the coordinates, and you can see, okay, no high clouds, low clouds, you know, because if you see any low clouds, not so bad, you can still play with it. High clouds is usually something that covers the entire sky. And by the way, my intention was only to this area, but you see this red line, and I realized that only today as I prepared it as a presentation, because this fog, it was just from sudden it was here. I can show you images later. But yeah, the app was right here. It was unfortunately not a mistake.
And you can. This is actually a forecast of fog. Is that correct?
This is a forecast, yes, and it was maybe 2 days before, and it was pretty. It was pretty exact. So
okay, this is something very nice because the one I have doesn't forecast fog, and this is very interesting, especially for drones.
Yeah, we had some low clouds, but they disappeared in the night, so the clouds were not a problem. The fog was a problem. But this forecast is also for the village and not for the valley. Yeah. Okay, so after you planned it, so you have your location, you know where and when you should be there. You check the light pollution and you check the weather. You go to location and then you put your camera, and Cesar, as you said, it just the time is probably the most important settings that you can set. And here is this rule of 500 or 300, and you can also use photo pills. You can enter your camera model and the focal length you use and whatever. And the photo pill set 12 seconds. Rule of 300 set 15 seconds. And here is 25 seconds. And this is the same lens. It's pretty the same location. It's the same location. It's pretty the same time. And you can see it's for me. This is 15 seconds, and this is 20 seconds. And with 20, okay, it starts to moving. It's still better to have this rounded one. But to be honest, you cannot really see this movement. And Photopill says, okay, 12 seconds. I don't have a feeling that you really need it to go even further, because only if you print it on a large scale.
And this is that crazy map that I showed before. That what Photopills does. What I do that is much easier. I usually did 500 rule and just divide it by 2. So if you really want, you use half of that. So this is almost all the time correct.
Okay. And if you consider to photograph stars, 24 millimeter is way too big. I used the 20 millimeter lens for that, and I was almost happy. 15 millimeters would be even better. And you divide here less, so you can have a big exposure. Also, the problem is that if you have a manual exposure, you can only take 5-second steps. So it's not possible to exposure for 70.5 seconds or whatever, unless you use a remote control budget, which I don't know. The next things to consider is the aperture. Of course, you go as small as you can, but here's a nice example, and I had the same issue with my lens. This is example for a Canon 1.4. This is actually a really expensive lens, but it's not made for star photography. And if you do it with stars with 1.4, you will have not a stars, you will have such butterfly in the edge. And my lens starts with 2.0, on 1.8 even, and I photographed on 2.2, and you cannot really see it here. So you see it's almost nothing here. But as I tried to stop it at 1.8, I saw something like that one. So you cannot really use it, especially for bigger stars or for planets.
And how is the 14 to 24 that you got once for stars, if you compare with this?
Yeah, I can show it to you here. This was my previous hack, and see, it's actually it's not an issue at all. Even if I go here, this was 2.8, and you can see a small butterfly here or here, or something like that, but it's not noticeable. So I can really use it. Okay. Oops. I'm very disturbing by here. Okay. So, and the last point is, okay, ISO, of course you go as high as camera allows. You can take several images and merge it in Sequator. Sequator is a really nice and simple program that is for free for Windows, but for Mac you need to pay. A focus, what a lot of people recommend is to use a tape. You just focus on the mountain on the right star, and then you tape it and it can move. And the nice thing is turn the image stabilization off. In the Sony, you need to turn it also in the camera. And if you don't do it like me, you will see is this one. This is a satellite. Yeah, you can recognize it. You recognize satellites if they go through several images and they have these typical lines. And I'm pretty sure that it didn't fly in this direction. Yeah, and the last point is the white balance. Of course, you can correct white balance after all, after you made a photo. But this number 3,300 helps you to see an image on a location that it looks more natural, because a camera will take something about 5,000, which is way too high. Yeah, and well, after all, I was here on this location with a tent here, and you can see this is the river, and this was my photo just to check the settings, and you can see the Milky Way start to appear here. But it was really close to sunset, maybe half an hour after sunset, and but you can already see it really nice. You can never see it, so I never saw it similar in the city, but it was way too much left. So we decided to wait. We went sleep and woke up 1 hour, and yeah, give me a second. This was an image after 1 hour, so no chance. And you can see it here. You can see it here. The position is much better, and it would look much better. But this was this fog. It appeared maybe within 5 minutes. It appeared on the other side of the valley, and within 5 minutes, everything was in a fog. Yeah. So we decided to go sleep again, and if we woke up and the first time, it was like here.
But you already had the moon, right?
Yeah,
because of the shadow.
Yeah, it looks like a sun, but it is a moon. And what I could do, I could play with white balance, make it a little bit more yellow. And nobody would say that, and everybody would say this is a day photo and is composing of two images, but it is not. Yeah.
So this was still nighttime, this third photo?
Yeah, this is nighttime. This is something about 1 hour.
Okay.
1 a.m. So at the end, I decided to combine this photograph and this photograph. This is the foreground, background. And can you see this image? I'm still not happy with it because it's my best night image so far. I'm still not happy with it because this is overexposed. Next time I will need to, for sure, to make an extra exposure only for a tent. And yeah, of course, this you cannot do anything. It's a moon. And but also this background is a little bit too noisy, and that's why this image I would like to send you, Caesar.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Yeah, and that's all actually.
But you could always wait like 15 days there with the tripod without moving, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe what's also interesting is I'm not sure if, give me a second. This was my previous previous hike, and I will this are 200 images made one after each other, and I will just play it for you. I hope you can see it. You can see as the star moves. These are all satellites. And do you see this one?
Mm-hmm, yep.
This is a falling star or meteor. You can recognize it because it's only on a one image. It's here and it's over. It's way too short. And it's wider and brighter. Give me a second. I can show you here. Greetings from Elon Musk. Yeah, here. Do you see these lines here? It's like a machine gun. Do you see it, or is it?
What? Sorry.
Do you see here these lines?
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Meteor showers or what?
No.
Those are satellites, right?
This is a satellite from Elon Musk. Do you see them? They come in one after each other in a row here.
Yeah.
And yeah, unfortunately, you see, I have almost no images. By the way, this is another falling star. I have almost no image without satellite. It's just satellite. So
Yeah,
come on.
Ruined.
Okay. Yeah,
This is a big complaint, especially now we had that comment here, and so many people were complaining that Elon Musk has ruined much of the star photography now, because you can't get a clear picture without his face there, right?
Yeah. By the way, this one, it looks like a falling star, but because it's so wide and so bright. But this is a geostationary satellite, because they are closer to the Earth, and so they look brighter, but you still can see it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 images. Each image 20 seconds, so it's almost 2 minutes. It was almost 2 minutes here, which cannot be the case for a meteor. And by the way, you see it's getting brighter and brighter, and of course this is the moon. Yeah, and that's all. Actually, how can I return? Caesar, you need to help.
Okay, so let me see here. Okay. So thank you so much for sharing. It was really nice to see that and to learn some other things about photo pills, because I had bought one before photo pills came out, and mine does most of the things, but it doesn't do the fog. And now I envy photo pills, because that's something very nice to know beforehand. Thanks a lot for sharing. If anybody has questions or
whatever.
No, thank you very much for showing this stuff.
You're welcome.
Yep.
So Remy had also some of his adventures to share. Are you still okay, Remy?
I'm conscious of the time, and I mean, I've prepared like a few slides. Like I took 10 minutes to prepare them, so it's not really great. So either I can prepare something a bit more elaborate, present it next week, or I don't know, as you guys want, because I'm not sure exactly if that would be now after Ian, I would look like a stupid. So
No way, no. There's no such thing,
No,
mate.
I
There's
mean,
no such thing.
I really love your image. I mean, it's.
no, it's just no, it's not this. It's not about. It's just like I didn't do a very good presentation. I think I could do something much better for next week. Didn't have time to prepare, of course, during the day, and I don't know if it would be fine.
No worries at all. And it is almost 9, and we try to keep it until 9, so we don't have any angry wives or hungry people. So yeah, totally. If you could share it in another time, I'd be happy to.
Then next week I will share it with everybody like a proper in a proper way. And
Yeah, but whenever you can, no pressure there. This is something very interesting to some of us, and I would certainly love to learn more about that.
Yeah.
So the very last things I had after this. Okay, hopefully now you just see mobile photo apps in your screen. Is that correct? Because I have no way to see what you guys see.
Yeah, we see it.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, my idea here was that we could maybe share some of the apps that we used. And what I brought here to you guys, this is, I don't do a fraction of what Jan and Hemi do from astrophotography and other things, but I do have some apps that I use a lot, and these 3 are my favorites. Planet Pro is almost photo pills. It does a lot of those same things. Maybe it does some other things more, but I had already bought it some long time ago, so I'm sticking with it for a while. And it is useful the same. You can plan when the sun will set or rise in exact position that you would like to photograph. You can see meteor showers. It has already the same thing that you could do with I forgot the name of the dark that shows the dark areas in the places. The one that you showed here. I just forgot.
Yeah, I mean, light pollution.
Light pollution, yeah.
Yeah.
It has the same thing built in, so I really like it, but it doesn't have the fog. So now I have to look it better, because this is something that I would really love. For people with drones, this UAV forecast is useful for me mostly because it has a forecast of wind that is a little better than the other ones that I have. So it is something nice. The other things, it's not exactly so important. And it also shows if you are in a forbidden area to fly, which it is nice. But most of the decent manufacturers, even if they come from China, they already have that built in the software. But it's nice to know. And for some of the photos I do, I use this hyperfocal just so I can make sure that I get the depth of field that I desire in some of the photos. But these are my favorites. Other than those, I did bring some more of them. If you want to see some more information about the moon phase and exactly where and in which azimuth it will rise, so you can get some of very nice photos. This moon on the top left is okay. Photo pills, Jan had already spoken a lot. Photographer ephemeris in the middle to the left was a very good one, but now photo pills and Planet Pro are much better. Light pollution, Jan has already showed to you guys also. If you are in a studio and you don't have a light meter, you probably don't want or like using one, but you can play a little bit and understand the basics of a light meter without the precision that one light meter actually has with this free app. It's actually nice if you want to see how it works and how, I mean, the old guys, and I am included in that, or the precision guys would use a light meter to set to put a studio setting together. I really like this concept. And this last one from Google, if you want to scan some photos, I mean, Adobe has another one. There are other variations, but this one is free. It is from Google, and you can save it to your Google Photos account. So you can just scan some photos using your mobile. Of course, this for 10 photos is okay. If you have like 100 family albums, this would be a little painful to do with your mobile. but it's nice anyways that you have this option. But do you guys have apps that you would recommend that were not spoken until now? Not only for astrophotography, but anything related to photography, video, or the likes.
I'm using for Meteo, for the weather forecast. I'm using an app called Windy, which gives you the low clouds, the direction of the wind, those kind of things. And that's actually pretty useful. I know I could combine it with another one, but I forgot the name. Of it. Yeah, basically that's pretty helpful if you see, for example, that you know the sunset is over there, and you see that there are low clouds just above you, but on the horizon there are no. Then you can anticipate that you will have quite nice sunset, for example, those kind of things, and they can be pretty helpful. So.
Could you send me those names and links maybe, and then I can include them, because I understood that one is called Windy and the other one I didn't get at all.
The other one I don't remember the name. I have to look for it again because I don't have it installed. I should install it, but I don't have it installed. I discovered it like a long time ago.
Yeah, if you could share the names or links or something, it would be really nice. This Windy, I'm really interested because this is something that for drones is quite nice to have this forecast.
It's quite a great, so it's pretty good.
So if anybody else has an app that you guys would like to share, the name of the idea or something else, not only the apps. Okay, so guys, thank you so much for being here and making this Tuesday chat fun and absolutely informative tonight. Thank you a lot, Jan, and looking forward, Hemi, for chapter 2 on our astrophotography crash course. And I will put all the links hopefully tomorrow. I can do it late afternoon or very late evening. I'm not so sure. And so you get all the links, names, and the slides we saw today. Yeah, and if you want to add some of the things that you showed us, and you can send me some screenshots, PDF, whatever, I would gladly put them in the material we share.
Okay.
Thanks again for sharing that with us. Yeah, thank you guys for
Thank you very much.
for being
Good
here.
evening.
Thank you.
I wish you all a good evening.
Yeah.
Good week as well. Thank
See
you.
you.
Bye.
Thank you.
See you
Bye-bye.
guys. Bye bye.
Bye. Ciao, ciao.